Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Tracy Cram Perkins, and our show today is Dementia Home Care. I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Radio, and Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. I am a 4-time dementia caregiving survivor and the author of Dementia Home Care, How to Prepare Before, During, and After, which is now available in an audiobook. And as you see here, I have a website that is full of resources, and I invite you to mine it because there's over 150 resources for caregivers. Also, I would like to thank Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck for awarding me the Public Service in Broadcasting Award this week. I'm very, very deeply honored, and I want to say thank you very much, Dr. Jacqueline, for that award. Joining me today is guest Dan Goerke, a dementia caregiver, telepathic communicator, and Alzheimer's advocate. He is the author of Unforgettable, Unbelievable, A Journey of Telepathy and Compassion in Alzheimer's Care. Welcome back, Dan.
Tracy, great to be here. Congratulations on your award. That's fantastic. And just very glad to be out here again with you and spreading the word about dementia care.
Well, we had such a positive response to the last time you were on our show. I am just so excited that you agreed to come back. And for the audience who don't know you, would you please tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Absolutely. So I live in a suburb of Atlanta and had met my wife, Denise, in the mid-90s. It was a second marriage for both of us. And early or late 2000s, around 2010, she began showing signs, some strange signs that we just didn't understand, those of us who knew her. And it was memory issues, forgetfulness, things like that. And after about almost a year and a half to 2 years of fumbling around trying to find out what was going on, we almost, I want to say, stumbled on the diagnosis that she had Alzheimer's disease. And at the time of the diagnosis in 2012, she was just 56 years old. And I didn't know someone that young could have the disease. And so it launched me on this essentially a career of being a new career, I should say, of being a caregiver for her. And I dove right in, learned everything I could. Primary sources were the Alzheimer's Association, friends, family that would send me information about how to be a caregiver. And during the course of that caregiving, she was a lively, bright person, always something interesting going on in her life. And so many different things were happening, funny stories, and I would tell people the stories that were going on, and they told me I should write a book. And I'm like, I'm not an author. Well, fast forward, after she passed away in 2021, I had the space mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally to go ahead and write the book, and thus came up with Unforgettable, Unbelievable. And it's just my new mission in life is to educate caregivers, especially men who aren't used to this role of being a caregiver, and to get the word out there that you got to take care of yourself primarily. So that's kind of the brief story of me over the course of the last maybe 10, 15 years.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for mentioning especially men. Uh, we don't acknowledge men in the caregiving roles. We don't, and men, as you yourself will know, don't necessarily want to break down and say, "Hey, I need help." And the fact that you are willing to cross that line, it's not really a line, but I mean, willing to reach out and say, "Hey, you can do this, and here's how," is wonderful. And so, what sorts of things do you normally tell people when you're first meeting them, and especially men, when they're caregiving and dealing with this and they're breaking down in front of you?
Yeah, yeah, it's several things that I mentioned. Number one is education. Wherever you get your source of information is fine. As I mentioned, I went to the Alzheimer's Association webpage and went and had meetings with folks at the Alzheimer's Association and came up with a care plan. And so educate. I say number one, educate yourself about the disease and what could potentially happen. Every patient is different. I learned this wonderful phrase from our doctor in that if you've seen one Alzheimer's patient, you have seen one Alzheimer's patient. Everyone it has a different manifestation of the disease and the symptoms, yet there are similar characteristics. And so learn about those and learn techniques about how to lessen the stress on yourself primarily, but also your loved one. Things like distracting them if they're obsessed with going to the grocery store, which Denise was many times. When are we going to the grocery store? We need to go to the grocery store. All in the course of 5 minutes, I would get asked 20 times. Well, you distract them. Hey, let's go out on the back deck and look at the woods, or whatever. Come up with crazy things to distract them. So it's education, number one. Secondly, find a support group. Support groups were great resources for me. I joined several. To this day, 12 years or so after I joined my first support group, I'm still friends with the other caregivers in that support group, and we have a monthly dinner that we go to and talk, and we've gotten to know each other on a personal level, not just a caregiving level. So support groups are fantastic resources because you find out you're not alone in this journey, that there are others out there and their situations may be worse one meeting and your situation may be worse the next, but you're all there together, bonding together to help each other out. And so support groups are wonderful, wonderful things. And then, I also say when people offer to help, take advantage of it. Don't say, no, I have this, because you don't have this. It is a disease like no other. It was the most stressful period of my life ever, 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 ever. And I don't know what I would have done had I said no to primarily her siblings who came and gave me respite weekends or weekdays, or friends that offered to take her somewhere. And I would immediately say yes. And so I think men, especially, have this thought, attitude, no, I got this. I'm strong. I'm a guy. I've been through situations like this. I'm tough. It's like, you might be, but you're not going to be after this disease. And you've got to take care of yourself first so that you can fully take care of your loved one.
Oh, that is so well said, Dan. It is one of the biggest things that I see among caregivers is the men being stoic and basically hiding behind a screen,
Yeah.
not letting anybody in. And I'm going to delve into this just a little bit farther. When somebody says they're fine, do you take that as them asking for help?
Yes, absolutely. We'll be okay is another one I hear a lot of. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, you may be right now in this moment, but I make it a habit to quite honestly keep bugging them, right?
Mhm.
Coming back and calling or emailing and saying, "How you doing? You know, what's new today?" And continue to offer resources. Not be overbearing. You know, I think we all would withdraw if someone came at us and said, "You need to do this," right? Wrong. That's not my approach, and I don't think caregivers appreciate that approach either. And so it's just gentle suggestions, but repeatedly. And so that's what I try and put into my practice when I talk to caregivers, is just like keep checking back with them, keep offering gentle suggestions on what to do. And it's amazing. All of a sudden, you're a great resource, and they're calling you to get advice.
It's a wonderful feeling knowing that you're helping people like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, can you give us some examples of things that went wrong between you and Denise, and then when you decided to start laughing about it?
Yeah, yeah. It's a couple things. First of all, interesting. I have to say, in all honesty, and in looking back at several points in my caregiving role, and even today, I say with all honesty, I don't think I did anything wrong. You know, and I think caregivers get are too hard on themselves and say, "God, I did that wrong. Why did I do that? I'm so mad at myself." And like, no, just let it go. You're out there doing the best you can. So maybe I could have tweaked a few things, um, but all in all, I got to say I don't feel like I did anything wrong. I was the best caregiver I could be for her. And one of the tools that I used, really we used, Denise and I used, was laughter. When we first met, we pretty much had that bond over laughter. And she would fortunately tolerate my smart aleck sense of humor. And I would wisecrack and answer to her about something. And her response was a lot of times, "Did you say smack me?" And so we had a pretty good sense of humor going on. And I made it a point not to lose that, to continue to use laughter early on. One of the funniest examples I have is she wore reading glasses, right? And so I got to a point where she was losing them constantly. So I would go around and put a cheap pair in every room. And that helped for a while. And then eventually she was losing them. I was somehow the reading glasses magnet. I found them every single time, except for this one time, could not find them. And I spent 10, 15 minutes looking all over the house. I couldn't find her reading glasses. And I finally said, "Look, Denise, it's about time for lunch. Let me go fix lunch, and then we'll resume the search after lunch." So I go to the refrigerator to open it up, and sure enough, what was on the shelf? Her reading glasses were on a shelf in the refrigerator. And I said, "Come here, Denise." She looked and she just cracked up. She just had the biggest laugh over that situation. So fast forward to the next time she lost her reading glasses, she said, "Dan, I can't find my reading glasses." And I took that risk, which every caregiver should do. And I said, "Did you look in the refrigerator?" And fortunately, she laughed. She cracked up. And then we both made our way to the refrigerator to look, and they weren't there. They were somewhere else. But I think the bottom line is try and develop a sense of humor about it. I think laughter is a perspective. You can look at a situation like the reading glasses and get frustrated, overly frustrated, and get mad at your person that you're taking care of. You can get mad at yourself for losing the reading glasses. But instead of that, I as best I could took the perspective that this is going to be a funny situation. What is the funny situation about it? What is the funny perspective in losing her reading glasses? Well, and fortunately, again, finding them in the refrigerator was a funny situation in and of itself. Yet, I think it's important for the caregiver to look at a situation with the perspective of what is the humor in this situation? Because as caregivers, as you know, of people with dementia, it's not always funny and it's tough. So when you can laugh, please, please laugh.
I love that so much. It's um, the fact that you are allowing yourself the joy of play
Yeah.
and giving yourself, a little hat tip here, because that is something we push off to the side because we're putting aside our childish ways, trying to take care of somebody, which is in a very serious illness. And yet there's so much collateral beauty that can be found if we give ourselves that permission to play and laugh. And what you just so eloquently stated is that we all need to choose to do that and survive. And I just love how you worded that, because it's very, very difficult for people to give themselves the permission to laugh. Now, do you teach people how to laugh at all, or exercises for that? I'm just curious.
Oh, that's a great question. No, I haven't thought about that. I talk about it in terms I just mentioned is have that perspective, but that would be interesting to incorporate that into a class. And so you've given me a great idea, Tracy. Thank you.
Well, I was just curious because I know myself, I use laughter yoga, but just to get myself going.
Oh,
So, but I think people don't know how to laugh anymore. But
yeah,
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 so I don't.
yeah.
So I'm glad you like that.
Love it, love it.
So, so I have another question for you about your caregiving for your wife. I know in the last episode we talked about how she went out and created her own bouquets. Were there other stories like that where she was going out and adventuring, and how did you deal with those?
Oh boy, yeah. So one of the funniest ones, and I mentioned this in the book, and I mentioned this over and over again in support groups. I think the funniest story I have was one day we went to Home Depot to get some supplies and whatever we were getting. Um, I'm pushing the shopping cart. She's standing next to me. We're walking back toward our car after checking out. And all of a sudden, she just makes a beeline for this car that's parked nearby. This gentleman was driving an SUV. He had the hatchback up, and he's kind of loading whatever he had bought into the side into the side part of his car, in the side door. And Denise grabs this tennis ball that's sitting on the edge of his hatchback and comes walking back over. And I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't say that, but that's what I'm thinking. And I said, can I see that tennis ball for a second? And I took it from her, went back over and put it back in the SUV. And the guy didn't see me. So I'm like, okay, dodged a bullet there. I get back, start pushing, take 3 steps with the golf cart, and she does it again. She makes a beeline right over for that tennis ball, grabs it out of the guy's car again. And this time he's standing up and he looks, and he's kind of look at me with this smirk on his face. She gets back over next to me, and I said, "Hey, can I see that tennis ball?" And same thing, and take it and put it back over there. And I look him in the eye, and I said, "Sorry about that." And he just said, "That's okay," and smiled. And to this day, I think he knew what was going on, that there was something going on dementia-wise, because he was very kind about his look, his expression of saying, "Don't worry about it." All right. So after the second time of the tennis ball, I get back, start pushing the cart, take 2 steps. She turns and looks at me and, with wagging her finger, says, "Don't you ever embarrass me like that again." And I am exactly what you're doing, cracking up inside. I
Mhm.
don't dare laugh out loud about that statement. And of course, being the good caregiver, the good husband, I said, "I am so sorry. I will not do that again." Oh my gosh. I tell that, like I said, tell that story over and over again because it is so funny. It's just, again, her perspective of what was going on was completely different. But yet my perspective was that it was, yikes, what's going on? But then something funny ended up happening at the end, that made me laugh. And again, it was my perspective to embrace that laugh and that humorous part of that situation rather than extol how she did this crazy thing. It was more about the laughter at the end of don't embarrass me ever again, so
That's so awesome.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
so awesome.
yeah.
So I want to shift gears here just a little bit. We had some questions from audience members from
Yeah.
your last appearance on the show, and I wanted to throw those at you and see what your take is, if you don't mind.
Okay. I'll get my
Okay.
catcher's mitt out. I'm ready.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And so all of this, and for the audience that haven't seen the previous episode, our last episode was all about telepathy and caregiving. And so we're going to shift gears and talk about that a little bit more in depth. So one of the questions we received was, what are the most frequent, what are the things that you can do to keep them more comfortable and less agitated if they cannot speak to their loved one telepathically?
Yeah, and I would great question, and I would check in telepathically with Denise during those times after she had stopped communicating verbally, check in with her higher self and ask her that question specifically. What can I do? What can we do? What can the caregivers do to make you more comfortable? And it's interesting after doing many readings of other people that are caregivers. They want to know that same thing. What can I do? One of the most frequent responses I get back from the person with dementia is really around what I would say generically is comfort. And what brings them comfort most of the time are things like food. Okay, they want a certain type of food, and I get some crazy responses anywhere from certain fruits to things like mashed potatoes. I want mashed potatoes. I'm like, okay. And so I just consider myself the messenger. I'm delivering that message from them about food. Other times, the comfort comes in ways of, as you know, they're bed bound or chair bound. Well, I need more pillows. So figure out how to incorporate more pillows into their situation. Other times, it's visits. They want to see children oftentimes that are not able to visit frequently. And so I'll tell the caregivers, well, that's why we have these phones that have video cameras and you can FaceTime, even though their son is 1,000 miles away. Get them on FaceTime on a regular basis because mom wants to see them. So that's a frequent request. Another one is music. A lot of times, music is a soothing remedy, a soothing thing that they want to hear during the day. So I encourage them again, find out what era they grew up in. If it was the 40s, 50s, maybe it's Elvis, maybe it's Frank Sinatra, the Beatles, whoever was in that was popular during that time that they were growing up. Play that music, and those are kind of the common themes that I hear quite a bit of when I'm communicating telepathically with them.
So I'm going to take us back a step because I should have done this first. Can you tell us how you first communicated with Denise so that the audience understands this a little better before I ask my next question? Because
Okay,
that'll make more sense. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So Denise had started. I was about 3 years after the diagnosis, and she had started getting really quiet, communicating verbally less and less. Yet more situations were coming up, including trying to get her on the toilet would take her upwards of an hour sometimes. Getting her in the car was physically difficult. She just, the disease was preventing her from having a thought and then executing that thought with her body. She just couldn't do that because of the disease. I came home one night after work, uh, got her ready for bed. I was physically, mentally exhausted, tough day at work. And she goes to sleep. I stayed up a little bit longer, had a glass of wine, came back to bed, relaxed a little bit, and was sitting there kind of upright in bed. She was fast asleep. Her physical self was fast asleep. And I remember having the thought in my head. I said, Denise, this would be so much easier if I could talk to you. And it was in my mind's eye, my mind, I heard her voice say, well, then talk to me. And I and I looked down next to me in the bed, and she's fast asleep. It was completely in my head, and I immediately said, "Okay, the toilet is a challenge. It's taking upwards of an hour. We're both struggling. How do I get you on the toilet easier?" And she showed me, again, images of what to do, where to place my hands, told me phrases like push here, push there, do this, say that. And I said, thank you very much, completely believing it was her, or at least her higher self, her intuition, her soul was communicating with me. The next morning, get up, try those methods, and Tracy, it was amazing. What had been taking upwards of an hour, we accomplished in 30 seconds. And she's on the commode, and I'm so elated. And so that began my communication over and over again. How do I do this? What's a better way to do this? What do you need? What do you want? Those kind of things. And oftentimes she would volunteer things like, hey, I haven't seen my daughter in a while. Where is she? Kind of. So that began this unbelievable communication with her.
That i that is so incredible. It's just so incredible. Um, so, leading back to the frequent questions, what are the
Yeah.
most common requests you get from people when they are caregiving and they want to help their loved one? I mean, and they're trying, but they don't know how.
Yeah, I think mostly, like I said, it's around comfort. You want your loved one to be comfortable, and so the common questions are they in pain? Are they in discomfort? A lot of times, I mostly recently, I've been getting a lot of people that where the loved one has had a seizure, so to speak, or some other ailment that is they can see the grimace on their face. So the question becomes, what can we do to help mom or dad through that situation? Um, Another common request is, I get I get some questions about timing. How much longer is mom going to be around? Does dad have much longer? Should we gather the family? Um, and I understand why you're asking those. I wanted to know from Denise. I rarely got an answer, a clear answer. I tend not to like those questions because time is this concept that we've developed as humans, right? And we've created these things like minutes and hours and days and weeks and months. And so the universe, the higher self, they don't care about that kind of time frame. So um, I tend to give answers like that. I usually get an answer of some sort, but I have a lot of asterisks and caveats with that answer about timing. And again, I understand why people want to know about timing. So that's a common question. Some other really, it's kind of a lot of people that come to me are the ultimate caregivers. They want to know, how can I make mom more comfortable? Does she like this community, which is usually a memory care community? Does she like this community, or should we move her? So there's questions mostly around the caregiving and the person's general well-being. Those are the typical questions that I get.
Well, then that leads me to this next question because this one connected with me a little bit. The person asked, if I'm not knowingly connecting telepathically, what are some things I can do to either say, feel, or radiate that will make my loved one feel more peaceful?
Yeah, yeah, and I gotta say too that I think we can all communicate telepathically. Now, it may vary to what level you do that communication. Yet, some of the simplest ways to communicate telepathically is follow your intuition. If you're there with your dad and you're looking at him and you get this thought in your head, it's like, he looks like he's thirsty. Well, guess what? That's your intuition. That's his intuition, his higher self reaching out to you to say, hey, 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 I'm thirsty. And so much of the telepathy begins with following your intuition. And so that's what I tell people, that you can do some of this too. Just follow that intuition of when you get that thought of they look thirsty, they look uncomfortable. Hey, I had the thought, maybe let's move the bed around to where mom or dad can look out the window and see the birds and the trees and things like that, and give them a more peaceful, serene setting. So follow your intuition when it comes to those caregiving moments, and that is you essentially communicating telepathically with your loved one. I hope that answers your question. The question. Yeah.
Yes, it does. So
Yeah.
then the next question I have for you is going off key now. You just
Uh-oh.
did a second episode of the telepathy tapes. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Ooh, yes. So, yeah, they reached back out to me and said, we're taping season 2. Would you like to do another episode? And I said, yes, of course. I'd love to. And I said, let me throw this out. What if I did a live reading during the episode? And they love that idea. And again, I was following my intuition. And I looking back, I think that was a message from someone, maybe Denise, maybe, I don't know, somebody, do a live reading. So Kai Dickens, who runs the show, has a friend, Rebecca, whose dad is in a memory care community. And it just so happens his community is here in the metro Atlanta area. And they said, well, let's do a live one. Let's go to the community and do a reading right there live. And I'm like, okay, sure. Why not? I mean, I typically do readings remotely. It doesn't matter where I am and where that person I'm reading is. But yet they wanted to do it live. And I said, okay, sure. Typically what happens during a reading or prior to a reading is that person starts coming through. So Rebecca's dad, Pedro, started coming through to me, and telling me certain things that were important to tell Rebecca, to tell his wife Maria about. And so I always write them down. I have all these 3x5 cards that I write messages down on. And what was really cool, though, was when we got to the community and Rebecca brought him out, he had this look of, I know you. He has gone completely silent, but he looked at me and he had this expression that of recognition of me, of who I was. And that didn't really surprise me. During our lunch afterwards, I said to the sound engineer, I said, did you see that? And he goes, yeah, that was amazing. And Rebecca had not seen it because she was behind the wheelchair pushing Pedro out. So we talk about that in the episode. And the other important part of that, though, too, is the fact that Pedro grew up in Cuba, immigrated to Miami, and then subsequently made his way to Atlanta. He does not speak a lick of English. He speaks Spanish. That's his native tongue. And so Kai asked me, Rebecca asked me, he said, are you going to be able to understand him? And I understood him because the higher self that I'm communicating with wants to be heard and is able to communicate in a language that I understand. So that's the language I heard. I heard English when Pedro was communicating to me. And that was verified, so to speak, when he had the recognition of me as as Rebecca brought him out. There's another one that I'm going to use as a spoiler. There's a bigger, wow, amazing. But you have to watch the episode coming up here in a couple weeks. Oh, I'm so mean. Oh.
I'll be there. I'll be listening. Well, I can't believe this. We only have 5 minutes left. That was by too fast.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you have thought of that while we were talking that you want to share?
Yeah, yeah. So again, my whole mission is around caregivers, making sure, I want them to take care of themselves, find humor, find support groups, find support, take support, say yes when somebody offers you support, and don't be hard on yourself. And then I want to, if I can, leave with this thought. I have a bulletin board here next to me, and yesterday I glanced over, and I rarely glance over at it, and I'm like, what is that? What is this piece of paper sitting up there? And I'm like, it's important for today, for our talk right now. So I want to leave you with this quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it really, it can be interpreted many ways, yet I see it as his way of talking directly to a caregiver. And it's about a caregiver. I offer it as a caregiver being able to forgive themselves about the day and what happened. So he says, finish each day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities have crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. You shall begin it serenely and with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your old nonsense. And I thought, gosh, that's so beautiful for caregivers to just forget about. If you've made a mistake or you feel like you've made a mistake during the day, forget about it. Forget about it. No one is there with pen and paper grading you about your performance today as a caregiver. Just forget about that mistake you might have made. Move on. Live in the moment, because the only moment that your loved one with dementia is in is this present moment right now. They are not going to be critical of you and the potential mistake you made yesterday. They forgot about it already. So forgive yourself and move right into this present moment with your loved one, because that's all you have.
Wow. Thank you. S- All right. I do want to do one other thing. Can
Yeah.
you tell us about your website, Soul to Soul Communications?
Yeah. Yeah. So my website, as you mentioned, Soul to Soul Communication, is a way to investigate a little bit more about me. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I'm actually going through an update of that right now. It's got to be updated. But it still will be live. You can learn more about my book, some of the work I do, which is primarily doing readings for people that are caring for their loved ones that have gone silent. I will do telepathic readings. I also do training. If people feel that they are communicating telepathically and they want to kind of boost that communication, I do a 6-week course with them and train them how to boost that signal they're getting, basically. I also offer Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. So the website talks about all those. I also have a hobby that has turned into a business. I make candles. And so those are on there as well. So come see me there and see what resonates with you. So that's my website. I also offer my email. Please reach out to me if you'd like to learn more. Have a free consultation about telepathy. I'll sit and chat with you for a little bit, and maybe you decide not to have a telepathic session. Maybe you do, but it's all there on the website. And thank you for mentioning it.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been wonderful
Thank
again.
you. Thank you. I really mean this sincerely. I enjoy talking with you, and it's fun, Tracy. And thank you. It's easy to see why you won an award. So
Oh,
thank you.
thank you. Well, we will be back on January 20th with guest Allison Schreier, president of Zinnia TV, and discuss her husband Evan's journey with frontal temporal dementia, also known as FTD, for the next episode of the Dementia Home Care Show. In the meantime, you can go over to our YouTube channels at USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck and look for the Dementia Home Care playlist, where you'll find all of our past episodes. Thank you to the wonderful Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck for all of her hard work behind behind the scenes today. And thank you to our sponsors for making this possible. See you next time, everyone.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care, How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now. Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now. Listen, babe, now, listen, babe, now.
In a noisy world, true connection begins with listening. Elevated listening transforms every conversation in just 5 simple steps. Pause and breathe. Set your intention. Listen with curiosity. Reflect back. Agree on one next step. Join the Listening Mentor on Let's Finally Talk with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, where we help you find inner peace, one conversation at a time. Streaming every day. Let's Finally Talk TV show with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, only here on USA Global TV and Radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channels to watch and engage with all our content.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.